Hi everyone, Anthony Sailtano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it is time for a review of the new Trippie Redd mixtape, A Love Letter to You. This is the newest mixtape from rapper and singer Trippie Redd, the fourth installment of his A Love Letter to You series, obviously. And as far as rapper crooners go, I have historically expressed quite a bit of faith in Trippie Redd when it comes to speeding to the head of the pack, making an impact on the emo trap genre. He certainly seems to be on track with that with this tape, set to do 100K this week. However, I've not really been all that excited about the man's recent output, especially his new exclamation point record that dropped earlier this year, which was easily the most low effort and just thrown together batch of songs the man has put his name on so far. I don't know what creatively drove Trippie Redd to this point, but it was kind of a shock. So much so that it's got me looking skeptically at this 21-track mixtape, thinking, how much effort did you really put into this very lengthy batch of songs? Nothing tells me you've put in the forethought to make any of these tracks have a shelf life longer than a year or even 6 months. And do rappers at this point even expect their most hardcore fans to sit through these hour-long 20-track projects? I went into this tape hoping that maybe Trippie Redd would go back to basics a little bit, given that this is part of an ongoing series that he is pretty well known for, and give us a series of songs doing what we know just works. Emotional numbers, trap bangers, overly emotional singing, sticky melodies, catchy flows. The opening track on this thing, Lorraine, is not a very good omen though. It sounds like a breakup text set to acoustic guitars, loaded with all these fake deep quotables meant to make the other person feel like they're stupid for ending the relationship, assuming it's their fault it ended. It's not easy to sit through, honestly. And what's to come after this track is basically a mixed bag of snoozers, losers, bangers, and anthems. And tons and tons and tons of features too. Some head turners. YNW Melly is on here post his incarceration, which is pretty crazy. And at the end of all for me, it sounds like there's this lengthy, rambly vocal snippet from XXXTentacion, where he's kind of rambling on about his difficulties with, I guess, just being loved, being in a relationship, caring too much, if you find that mindset sort of relatable, even considering the person it's coming from. But beyond that, the feature list here is a gauntlet of basically whoever is hot at the moment. DaBaby, Youngboy, Lil Mosey, Juice WRLD, which unfortunately I think speaks to a certain disposability when it comes to a lot of newer music, which I think we're now just accepting as normal, these very short shelf life records with these feature lists that go in and out of fashion like seasonal wardrobes. I will say the first leg of this tape starts off pretty focused though, in true Trippie Redd fashion, with a lot of heartbroken vocals and acoustic guitars and trap beats. We have a song about wanting love, we have a song about hating and not wanting love. On the first leg of this tape, Trippie sounds more comfortable in this lane than ever, but that is also part of the problem, because I think this puts Trippie in a place where he is now just painting by the numbers, delivering fans merely what they expect, not expounding on these feelings or emotions in any way whatsoever. Granted, Who Needs Love does go pretty hard. Again, it is a love rejection anthem with Trippie openly embracing his single status. The lyrics, while they are pretty surface level, they do sound like they come from a genuine place. Not so much the case for Lovesick though, whose constant references to forgetting what I said just feels like volunteering yourself for gaslighting. Not to mention the fireworks samples and the dramatic singing remind me of something off of Drake's first record too. The hooks on Love Me More and Real Feel are pretty sharp, but the verses are completely devoid of anything memorable. Not to mention the trap beat acoustic guitar combo is growing pretty stale at this point. This emo trap wave I don't even think is 5 years old, and already we're running this instrumental style into the ground. Thankfully, there are some welcome change-ups with all of the features to follow past this point. This Ain't That is certainly a highlight, with some sparkling guitar arpeggios and smooth bass soundtracking what is Trippie's most effortlessly catchy hook in a while. This ain't that for real, this ain't that for real. Honestly, I don't even mind the mediocre Lil Mosey feature in the second half. Six Kiss, by comparison, is a much tougher listen though. Melly's feature sounds completely tacked on. Juice WRLD's miniature verse is nothing to write home about, and then Trippie pulls on some of the weirdest movie references that I think I've heard him drop in a while, from Coraline to Megamind, and also mentioning Optimus Prime. Yeah, I can do without all that, especially since Trippie's similes here are pretty boring. The song ends with Lil Yachty and Pierre Bourne, sounds like a bad leftover from Lil Yachty's last record. And on the track All For Me, Smokepurpp is so slathered in auto-tune, he sounds absolutely ridiculous. There are a lot of mediocre, less than stupendous moments on this tape, honestly. I feel like all that's worth mentioning is the handful of highlights that happened past this point. We have Sickening with Tory Lanez, which features some great pianos, some little woodwind melodies too. Easily one of the more elegant moments on the tape. Trippy's refrains on the track of I Don't Feel Too Well are pretty hilarious considering the title of the song, and lyrically he constantly references being sick or just sicknesses, so I guess in a way it's one of the more focused songs here. And then Tory Lanez feature goes a lot harder than I would have expected emotionally speaking, so when he pops in it's not a lull or anything like that. The Grinch is a very short, hyper-aggressive banger with more production from Pierre. It's one of the wilder songs on here. I wish there were more tracks that took this tone. Definitely would have made for a more fun experience, but the moment that we have it is pretty good. We have Death featuring DaBaby. While it is not one of his better features I've heard this year, an appearance from DaBaby is always a bit of a pick-me-up on a project like this, though the very nasty 3-6 Mafia sample on this track goes a long way too. With the trap beat and the clubby synths on the instrumental, it's a good vibe. We also have Bust Down featuring You've D. Considering the gorgeously melodic synths on this track and the wonderful change-up on the chorus, this has to be one of the tracks that has the most forethought on this tape, because rarely on this project does a hook have this much contrast, does a hook pop out this much. I wish there were more tracks on this thing that had this level of basic structure. Also, You've D, kind of one of the better features on the project, a French rapper I wasn't aware of up until this point, and he's really a breath of fresh air in this track list. His delivery is pretty tight, and his voice has a very distinct quality to it. What also popped out was Lil Wop on The Jungle Book, and while I've never really been a huge Lil Wop fan up until this point, his incredibly raspy delivery is cartoonish, hilarious. He sounds like 21 Savage with a bronchial infection. Seriously though, his very short appearance at the front end of this song definitely is attention grabbing. Lyrically, Trippy goes at length throughout the rest of the track too, definitely one of his more aggressively delivered sets of verses, so that's a standout too. The finish of the tape ends on a somewhat strong note with the acoustic Abandoned and the boom bap-ish Can You Rap Like Me, where Trippy shows he can flow with old heads even if his pen game isn't the best. Now, as much as I enjoy these tracks, of course they are not enough to carry this hour-long project into a positive score, because a majority of the material here is not all that great, it's not memorable, and all in all this project serves as a reminder that this is the current state of the music industry, where songwriting barely matters, just get a vibe, get kind of a hook, and a beat that sort of goes, and you have a song. Just get it out there and maybe, by some sort of fluke, it'll hit. At the very worst, it'll get some streams on your massively long record. And look, I don't deny that there are artists out there, including Trippie Redd, that this formula is working for, but the problem is, this formula is too easy to replicate, and as a result of that, you're not really leaving a mark, a long-lasting mark, on your audience. And it's going to be easy one day for another person to do exactly what you're doing and just step in your place. Records like this don't really foster long-term loyalty, and you know what? I hope I'm wrong about that. I hope I'm wrong. Feeling a decent 2 strong 4 on this one. Transition, have you given this tape a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, music, Trippie Redd, love letter, forever.